Get that filthy trash out of my building. Victoria Sterling's voice cut through the ballroom like a knife. 500 heads turned. A single father in a worn janitor uniform stood frozen, his 7-year-old daughter clutching his hand. The billionaire pointed at the massive vault behind her chrome, gleaming under spotlights. 62 Caltech engineers failed for 4 years. But maybe poverty makes you creative, right? She leaned into the microphone, smiling. Open it, janitor. I'll pay every cent of your daughter's medical bills, plus 10 million cash. The crowd erupted in laughter. Marcus Johnson looked at his sick little girl, then at the vault. I'll try. What satisfactory 57 minutes later made Victoria Sterling lose everything she'd ever stolen. Comment your city below. Let's see how far this story travels. Marcus Johnson had been invisible for 11 years. 11 years of mopping floors after midnight. 11 years of emptying trash cans filled with champagne bottles and catered leftovers. 11 years of walking past offices where people made more in an hour than he made in a month. He never complained. Complaints didn't pay for Lily's chemotherapy. But today was different. Today, he had to bring her. The babysitter canceled at 6 a.m. His mother was in Detroit, too sick to travel, and Marcus couldn't miss work again. 3 absences in 6 months meant termination. Termination meant no health insurance. No health insurance meant watching his daughter die. So he packed Lily's medications in his old backpack, dressed her in the nicest clothes she had, and brought her to Vanguard Technologies Employee Appreciation Day. "Daddy, why are there so many people?" Lily's voice was thin. The treatments made her tired. Her hair had started falling out 2 weeks ago. She wore a purple beanie that Maria, her mother, had knitted before she died. "It's a special day, baby girl. The company's showing off." "Are we allowed to be here?" Marcus felt the question like a punch. His daughter, 7 years old, already learning she didn't belong places. "Yeah, Lily, we're allowed." He found a corner near the back of the ballroom. Set Lily on a chair with her coloring book. Told her to stay put while he figured out where the janitorial staff was supposed to stand. That's when he saw the robot, a display unit on a pedestal, sleek and expensive. Some kind of demonstration model. An engineer had tried to activate it earlier, but the arm stopped mid-motion. Frozen. The engineer shrugged, made a joke about technical difficulties, moved on. But Marcus could see the problem. The servo connection at the shoulder joint had slipped. Probably happened during transport. A 2-minute fix if you knew what you were doing. He shouldn't touch it. He knew that. Display property. Executive event. He was just the janitor. But his hands remembered. His father's voice echoed in his mind. Steel speaks to those who listen. Most people are too busy talking. Marcus glanced around. Nobody was watching him. Everyone was focused on the stage where Victoria Sterling was preparing to give her keynote speech. He walked to the robot, knelt down, examined the joint. "What are you doing?" A security guard stood over him. Young guy, maybe 25, hand on his radio. "The servo slipped," Marcus said quietly. "I can fix it." "You're maintenance, not engineering." "It's just a loose connection. Take 2 minutes." The guard looked at the robot, then back at Marcus. Something in his expression softened slightly. "Make it fast." Marcus pulled a small screwdriver from his back pocket, the same one his father had carried for 40 years. He adjusted the servo mount, checked the alignment, and stepped back. The robot's arm completed its motion perfectly. Smooth, precise. The guard blinked. "How did you know how to do that?" Marcus didn't answer. He was already walking back to Lily, but someone else had been watching. Victoria Sterling stood at the edge of the stage, microphone in hand, eyes fixed on the janitor who'd just fixed a $50,000 robot in 90 seconds. She was 52 years old, self-made billionaire, magazine covers, TED Talks, the face of female success in American technology. What the magazines didn't print was how she got there. Victoria had built her empire on 2 skills, identifying brilliance and taking credit for it. Engineers, Designers, researchers. She found them, used them, discarded them. The ones who complained got buried in legal fees. The ones who threatened to go public got destroyed. It had worked for 20 years. Now she studied the janitor, watched how his hands moved, recognized something she hadn't seen in a long time. Competence. Real competence. The kind that couldn't be taught in universities. And standing next to him was a sick little girl. Victoria smiled. She'd built her fortune finding weakness, and she'd just found plenty. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Vanguard Technologies. Victoria's voice boomed through the ballroom speakers. Applause erupted. Camera flashes popped. Today we celebrate not just our company, but our family. Every employee from our executives to our support staff makes this vision possible. She paused for effect. Speaking of support staff, her eyes found Marcus in the corner. I just watched something remarkable. One of our janitorial team members fixed a $50,000 robot that our engineers couldn't figure out. Heads turned. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Sir, please come up here. Bring your daughter. The crowd parted. Marcus didn't move. Come on, don't be shy. Victoria's voice dripped with sweetness. Let's give him some encouragement. Applause. Cheering. Someone pushed Marcus forward gently. He picked up Lily, walked toward the stage. Every step felt like walking into a trap, because it was. What's your name? Victoria asked as he reached her. Marcus. Marcus Johnson. And this beautiful little girl. Lily. Victoria knelt down eye level with Lily. Hi, sweetheart. Are you sick? Lily nodded, clutching her father's neck tighter. What's wrong? She has leukemia, Marcus said quietly. Please, Mrs. Sterling, we should go back. Leukemia. Victoria stood, faced the crowd. This man works nights cleaning our offices while his daughter fights cancer. Can we get some applause for this hero? The crowd obliged. Marcus felt the spotlight burning his skin. Victoria wasn't done. Marcus, I have to ask. Where did you learn to fix robotics? My father taught me. Was he an engineer? No, ma'am. He was a locksmith. Victoria's eyes flickered. Something shifted in her expression. Calculation. A locksmith. Interesting. She turned to face the massive vault that dominated the center of the stage. Chrome and glass. Holographic interface glowing blue. 8 feet tall. Do you know what this is, Marcus? No, ma'am. This is the Prometheus Vault, the most secure storage system ever designed. $50 million in development. We hired 62 engineers from Caltech, MIT, Stanford, the best minds in America. They've been trying to crack it for 4 years. She paused, letting the numbers sink in. No one has succeeded. The crowd murmured appreciatively. Victoria turned back to Marcus. Her smile widened. You know what, I have an idea. Mrs. Sterling, your daughter needs treatment. Yes, medical bills piling up. Marcus didn't answer. His jaw tightened. I did some quick math. Victoria pulled out her phone, pretended to check something. Stage 3 pediatric leukemia. Experimental treatments. We're looking at $340,000, maybe more if there are complications. How did she know that Marcus's mind raced? Personnel files. Insurance claims. She had access to everything. Here's my offer, Marcus. Victoria stepped closer to him, close enough that only he could hear her next words. Open my vault. I'll pay every penny of Lily's treatment, plus $10 million cash. She said it quietly just for him. Then she turned to the crowd and repeated it into the microphone. You hear that, everyone? If our janitor can open the Prometheus Vault, the vault that 62 PhD engineers couldn't crack, I will personally pay for his daughter's cancer treatment and give him $10 million. Laughter, scattered applause. Someone whistled. They thought it was a joke, a bit of theater to spice up the corporate event, but Marcus knew better. He looked at Victoria Sterling's eyes, saw no warmth there, no humor, just predatory patience. She wanted to humiliate him, wanted to film him failing in front of 500 people. Wanted content for her social media, the inspiring story of a janitor who tried and failed. But at least he tried. Marcus had seen this before. Powerful people using poor people as props, entertainment for the wealthy. He should walk away, take Lily, go back to his corner, survive. But then Lily whispered in his ear, "Daddy, can you really open it?" He looked at his daughter, 7 years old, hair falling out, purple beanie slipping, eyes full of trust that he didn't deserve. "I don't know, baby." "Grandpa could open anything. You said so." Marcus closed his eyes. His father's voice came back to him. "The day you walk away from a problem because it looks too hard is the day you stop being Samuel Johnson's son." He opened his eyes, looked at Victoria. "I'll try." Victoria's smile flickered, just for a second. She hadn't expected him to say yes. "Well," she recovered quickly. "We have a volunteer. Let's give Marcus 60 minutes. Seems fair, doesn't it?" Applause. Phones came out. Someone started a live stream. Victoria leaned close to Marcus again, voice dropping to a whisper. "You're going to fail. You know that, right? When you do, I want you to remember this moment. Remember that you embarrassed yourself and your sick daughter in front of the whole world because you couldn't accept your place." Marcus looked at her steadily. "What's really in that vault, Mrs. Sterling?" Something flashed across Victoria's face. Fear. Anger. 60 minutes, janitor. Clock starts now. Marcus set Lily down gently. A woman from the crowd, middle-aged, kind face, offered to hold her. Maria Chen read her name tag. Marcus nodded gratefully. He turned to face the Prometheus vault. 8 feet of chrome and holographic light. A glowing blue interface panel dominated the front. Numbers, symbols, biometric scanners. $50 million in technology. 62 engineers. 4 years. 0 successes. Marcus didn't approach the interface. Instead, he walked around the vault slowly, examining the base, the seams, the way it connected to the floor. "What's he doing?" someone asked. "Probably praying." Another voice laughed. Marcus knelt at the back of the vault, pressed his palm flat against the metal. Cool, steady, but underneath vibration. Faint. His father's stethoscope was in his backpack, the same one Samuel Johnson had used for 40 years. Medical surplus from a VA hospital, rubber cracked and worn. Marcus retrieved it, fitted the earpieces, placed the chest piece against the vault's base, and listened. The ballroom was noisy, talking, laughing, glasses clinking. But Marcus had learned to filter noise. His father taught him that. The truth speaks softly. You have to quiet everything else. There, beneath the hum of electricity and climate control, beneath the chatter of 500 people, he heard it. Click, click, click. A motor. Old. Mechanical. Completely out of place in a cutting-edge quantum vault. Marcus's eyes opened. He moved the stethoscope along the base, mapping the sound, tracing it. The motor wasn't connected to the holographic panel. It was underneath it, hidden. He stood, examined the power cable running into the vault, followed it to the outlet. Model K9, 240 volts. But the specifications on the holographic panel clearly stated 220 volts. 20 extra volts of power, electromagnetic interference, enough to make a quantum system unstable, but also enough to mask what was really going on inside. Marcus reached into his backpack, pulled out a worn notebook, his father's journal number 4. He flipped to a page he'd memorized years ago. Model K12 Progressive Resistance Lock. Military surplus 1950s. Manhattan Project Security. Key feature, resistance increases with each correct number. Most crackers give up thinking they've made a mistake. But the harder the lock fights, the closer you are to the truth. Marcus looked at the glowing holographic panel. then at the base of the vault. $50 million in technology designed to distract from a lock that cost maybe $50 in 1952. The Prometheus vault wasn't cutting edge. It was a lie wrapped in expensive lights. And Victoria Sterling knew it. Marcus walked to the front of the vault, placed both palms on the holographic interface. "Finally," Victoria muttered. "Now watch him fail like everyone else." Marcus didn't try to hack the quantum system. Instead, he pressed the interface rapidly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in quick succession. The panel flickered, sparked. The holographic display distorted. "What the hell?" Derek Walsh, head of security, stepped forward. "He's breaking it." Marcus pressed again. 6, 7, 8 times. The 240-volt power supply couldn't sustain the rapid demand. The system was designed for steady power, not bursts. The holographic panel went dark. Gasps from the crowd. "He destroyed it!" someone shouted. But Marcus was already kneeling at the base of the vault, unscrewing a small panel that had been hidden behind the light show. Behind it, brass gleamed dully. A dial, mechanical, tarnished with decades of age. Model K12, progressive resistance, just like his father's journal described. Derek Walsh went pale. Victoria Sterling's face transformed. The confident smile vanished. Something raw and desperate replaced it. "Stop him," she hissed. Derek didn't move. He was staring at the dial, at the evidence that the vault he'd helped secure was a fraud. "Derek, Mrs. Sterling." His voice was hollow. "If I stop him now with all these cameras..." She followed his gaze. Hundreds of phones. A live stream that had grown to 50,000 viewers. 3 news crews that had arrived for the corporate event. She was trapped. Marcus placed his father's stethoscope against the vault just above the brass dial. 54 minutes left, he said quietly. "I'm going to need silence." He began to turn the dial. The first number came quickly. 13. The resistance was light, maybe 8 pounds of pressure. The tumbler clicked into place at exactly 850 hertz. Marcus noted it, moved on. The second number took longer. 41. The resistance increased to 19 pounds. The crowd had gone silent now, watching phones raised, barely breathing. 37 minutes left. The third number, 7. Resistance 31 pounds. Marcus had to use both hands. His shoulders strained. "Daddy!" Lily's small voice cut through the silence. Marcus paused, looked over at his daughter. She was watching him with those huge brown eyes. Eyes that had seen too much pain for 7 years. Eyes that still believed in him. "Your hands are shaking, Daddy." Marcus looked down. She was right. His hands trembled against the dial. "I'm okay, baby girl. Grandpa's watching. I can feel him." Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. He blinked them back. "I know, Lily. I know." He turned back to the vault. 22 minutes left. The fourth number, 58. Resistance 44 pounds. His forearms burned. Sweat dripped down his face. Victoria watched from the side of the stage. Her expression had evolved from anger to fear to something worse. Calculation. She whispered to Derek Walsh. He nodded, pulled out his phone, typed rapidly. 15 minutes. Marcus had 1 number left. The final tumbler. But the resistance was crushing now, 50+ pounds of pressure. Every degree of rotation felt like trying to move a mountain. "He's going to fail," someone whispered. "He's too tired. Look at him shaking. Poor guy." This is hard to watch. Marcus's vision blurred. His arms screamed for relief. His father's voice came to him again. Journal entry from 1983. "When the steel fights hardest, you're closest to truth. Don't let go. Don't let go. Don't let..." The crowd began counting down. 10 minutes. 9. 8. Marcus turned the dial. Millimeter by millimeter. The resistance peaked. 52 pounds. His hands were bleeding now. The brass edge had cut into his palms. 7. 6. He closed his eyes. Felt his father's hands over his own. steadying him, guiding him. 5, 4, one more degree, just one more. 3. His entire body shook. Everything he had poured into this single moment. 2 turn. 1 clunk. The sound of 100-year-old bolts releasing echoed through the ballroom like thunder. The vault door swung open. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then the room erupted, screaming, cheering, applause crashing like waves. 500 people on their feet. Phones recording from every angle. The live stream chat scrolling so fast it became unreadable. Maria Chen carried Lily toward the stage. The little girl was crying. "Daddy, Daddy!" Marcus dropped to his knees, caught his daughter, held her tight. His bloody hands left prints on her purple beanie. "You did it, Daddy. You did it." "I kept my promise, baby girl." His voice broke. "I kept my promise." Victoria Sterling stood frozen. Her billion-dollar company had just been saved by the janitor she'd tried to humiliate. On camera, in front of millions. But that wasn't why her face had gone white. Marcus looked up at her, exhausted, bleeding, victorious. "Now," he said quietly, "let's see what you've been hiding." He stood, walked to the open vault. Inside server racks. Documents. Expected. But also a small metal box at the bottom. Sealed. Handwritten label. Prometheus Original Files, 2019. Victoria lunged forward. "That's private property." Marcus caught her wrist, held it firmly. "You promised me $10 million. You promised to pay for my daughter's treatment. On camera, in front of witnesses." His voice was steady, despite his exhaustion. "I think I've earned the right to see what I just unlocked." A man in a gray suit stepped forward. ID badge. Securities and Exchange Commission. "Mrs. Sterling, I need to see the contents of that box." "This is absurd. He's just a janitor. He has no authority." "Ma'am?" The SEC auditor's voice was ice. "Your IPO is in 12 days. If there's undisclosed material in this vault, I have every authority." Victoria's lawyer rushed forward, whispering urgently. Marcus knelt, examined the smaller box. Simple combination lock. 3 digits. He listened with the stethoscope. 30 seconds. Right to 14. Left to 7. Right to 23. Click. The lock opened. Inside USB drives, printed documents, handwritten notebooks. The top page was a design schematic. Dated March 2019. Signed at the bottom, Dr. Elena Vasquez, lead design engineer. Marcus held up the page. "Who is Elena Vasquez?" Victoria said nothing. But in the crowd, an elderly black woman gasped. Covered her mouth, tears streaming. "That's my daughter," she whispered. "That's my baby's work." The crowd parted around her. Cameras turned. "Elena designed that vault." The woman's voice shook. "Victoria stole it, fired her, destroyed her reputation. Elena died 2 years ago. Stress, heart attack. She was 34 years old." The ballroom went dead silent. Marcus looked at Victoria Sterling, at the documents in his hands, at the elderly woman weeping in the crowd. "You killed her," he said quietly. "You stole her work, and then you killed her." "That's slander. I'll sue you for—" "You'll sue me." Marcus held up another document. Emails, dates, evidence. "These are your instructions to HR. Terminate Vasquez. Cite performance issues. Ensure no severance." "And this," he held up a patent filing. "This is you registering her work under your name. 2 weeks after you fired her." The SEC auditor took the documents. His expression darkened with every page. "Mrs. Sterling, you need to come with me, now." "I'm not going anywhere with ma'am. You're facing charges of intellectual property theft, securities fraud, and potentially more once we review these files. You can come voluntarily, or I can have you escorted." Victoria looked around the ballroom. At the cameras, the phones, the witnesses. No allies, no escape. Her eyes found Marcus. "You—" she hissed. "You filthy piece of—" "My name is Marcus Johnson." He cut her off, voice steady. "I'm a janitor, a single father. And I'm the man who just ended you." He turned to Lily, picked her up gently. "Come on, baby girl, let's go home." As they walked through the crowd, people parted for them. Someone started clapping, then another, then the whole room, standing ovation for the janitor and his daughter. Maria Chen approached, tears in her eyes. "Mr. Johnson, I want you to know I'm on the board of directors. What Victoria did, we didn't know. But we'll make it right. Your daughter's treatment, everything she promised. We'll honor it." Marcus looked at her, saw genuine shame in her eyes. "Thank you, ma'am." He carried Lily toward the exit. Behind him, Victoria Sterling was being read her rights. Ahead of him, the future waited. He'd opened a vault. But more importantly, he'd opened a grave where truth had been buried. And truth once freed could never be locked away again. The applause faded behind him, but Marcus could still hear it echoing in his ears as he carried Lily through the service corridor. His hands throbbed. Blood had dried between his fingers, crusted brown against his dark skin. "Daddy, you're hurting." "I'm fine, baby girl." "No, you're not. You always say that when you're not fine." Marcus stopped walking, looked at his daughter, 7 years old, bald under that purple beanie, wise beyond her years because sickness had stolen her childhood. "You're right," he admitted. "I'm not fine, but I will be." A door opened behind them, footsteps quick and purposeful. "Mr. Johnson, wait." Marcus turned. A young woman in a business suit rushed toward him, Asian, maybe 30 sharp eyes behind fashionable glasses. "I'm Jennifer Huang, General Counsel for the board. I need to speak with you." "I have nothing to say to Vanguard." "I understand, but there are things you need to know. Things about what you found in that vault." Marcus shifted Lily to his other arm. His muscles screamed in protest. "I know enough. Victoria stole from a dead woman. It's worse than that, Mr. Johnson, much worse." Jennifer looked around nervously. "Not here. Please. There's a conference room on the 3rd floor. Give me 20 minutes. My daughter needs rest. There's a couch, water, whatever she needs." Jennifer's voice dropped. "And there are people who tried to stop Victoria before, people who paid for it. You deserve to know what you've walked into." Marcus studied her face, saw fear there, real fear. 20 minutes, he said. The conference room was empty. Jennifer locked the door behind them, checked the windows, then pulled out her phone and removed the battery. "Paranoid?" Marcus asked. "Careful. There's a difference." She sat across from him. Lily had already curled up on the leather couch, eyes heavy. "Mr. Johnson, do you know who Elena Vasquez was? Victoria's victim." She was more than that. Elena was a genius. MIT at 16, doctorate at 22. She designed security systems for DARPA before Vanguard recruited her. Jennifer paused. "She also designed your stethoscope technique." Marcus went still. "What?" "Elena studied acoustic analysis for vault penetration. She wrote papers on it. Theoretical stuff mostly, but brilliant. She believed that every lock, no matter how advanced, had a physical component that could be heard if you knew how to listen. My father taught me that, 40 years ago." "Your father taught you practical application." Elena proved it mathematically. Jennifer pulled a folder from her briefcase. She called it resonance mapping, the same technique you used tonight. Marcus took the folder. Inside photographs of a young black woman. Bright smile, confident eyes, standing next to complex vault schematics. "She was beautiful," he said quietly. "She was fearless. That's what got her killed. Victoria murdered her, not directly, but she destroyed her." Jennifer's voice hardened. Elena discovered that Victoria had been stealing designs from engineers for years, firing them, burying them in NDAs, then patenting their work. Elena collected evidence. She was going to blow the whistle. What happened? Victoria found out. She didn't just fire Elena, she obliterated her, planted false evidence of corporate espionage, got Elena blacklisted from every major tech company. Then she sued her for breach of contract. Jennifer shook her head. Elena spent 2 years fighting. Legal fees ate everything. She lost her apartment, her car, her health. Marcus looked at the photograph again, the confident smile, the bright eyes. How did she die? Heart attack, alone in a studio apartment in Oakland. She was 34. Jennifer's voice cracked slightly. The medical examiner said stress was a contributing factor. Chronic stress. The kind that comes from fighting a billionaire with unlimited resources. Marcus set the folder down. His hands had started shaking again, not from exhaustion this time. You knew her. She was my roommate in law school. Jennifer wiped her eyes quickly. I took this job to destroy Victoria from the inside. I've been waiting 3 years for someone to open that vault. Why didn't you do it yourself? I'm a lawyer, Mr. Johnson, not a vault cracker. She smiled bitterly. And Victoria never trusted me enough to let me near it. She kept the real access protocol secret. The quantum system was just theater. Nobody was supposed to know about the mechanical lock underneath. But she kept the evidence. Why? Leverage. Insurance. Victoria keeps files on everyone she's destroyed. If they ever resurface, she uses the evidence to bury them again. Jennifer leaned forward. Mr. Johnson, there are 17 other engineers in those files. 17 people whose work Victoria stole. Some lost their careers. Some lost their families. 3 are dead. Marcus felt something cold settle in his chest. Dead how? 1 suicide, 2 accidents. Jennifer made air quotes. Elena was the 4th. She's a serial killer. She's a serial thief. The deaths were collateral damage. At least that's what she tells herself. Jennifer walked to the window. The woman you saw tonight threatening you, calling you filthy? That's the real Victoria Sterling. The magazine covers and TED Talks are just camouflage. Marcus looked at Lily, sleeping peacefully on the couch. Her chest rose and fell in slow rhythm. The purple beanie had slipped, revealing patches of bare scalp. My daughter's mother died 2 years ago, he said quietly. Car accident. Hit and run. They never found the driver. Jennifer turned. Her face changed. Mr. Johnson? Maria was an accountant. She worked for a tech company downtown, did freelance work on the side. He paused. A few months before she died, she mentioned she'd found some discrepancies, client files that didn't add up. What company did she freelance for? Marcus met Jennifer's eyes. Vanguard Technologies. The silence stretched between them. Jennifer's face had gone pale. Oh my God. I never made the connection. Never had a reason to. Marcus's voice was hollow. But now I'm wondering, what files did my wife see and who knew she saw them? Jennifer sat down heavily. Mr. Johnson, if what you're suggesting is true. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you that my wife worked for Victoria Sterling, and then my wife died, and then I got a job cleaning Victoria Sterling's offices. He laughed bitterly. I thought it was coincidence, bad luck. Now I don't know what to think. We need to find out if Maria saw something. A knock at the door. Sharp, urgent. Jennifer froze. Marcus stood moved between the door and Lily. Ms. Huang. A muffled voice. Male. Security. We need to speak with you. Jennifer pulled out her phone, started recording. Who sent you? Mrs. Sterling would like... Mrs. Sterling is currently being detained by the SEC. Jennifer's voice was ice. Try again. Silence. Then footsteps retreating. Marcus let out a breath. Friends of Victoria's. More like employees who don't know the ship is sinking yet. Jennifer grabbed her briefcase. We need to leave, separately, different exits. What about the evidence, the documents in the vault? The SEC has them now. That's good. It means Victoria can't destroy them. but it also means we don't have access. She handed him a business card. My personal cell. Call me tomorrow. We need to dig into Maria's files. Marcus took the card. Why are you helping me? Because Elena was my friend. Because Victoria Sterling has ruined too many lives. Jennifer looked at Lily still sleeping. And because that little girl deserves to grow up in a world where people like Victoria don't win. Marcus picked up his daughter, cradled her against his chest. Thank you, Jennifer. Don't thank me yet. This fight is just beginning. She unlocked the door, checked the hallway, nodded. Marcus walked out. But her words echoed in his mind. This fight is just beginning. The bus ride home took 45 minutes. Lily slept against his shoulder the whole way. His hands had started bleeding again through the makeshift bandages he'd wrapped in the bathroom. Oakland looked different tonight. The same streets he'd walked for 38 years, but something had shifted. The world felt sharper, more dangerous, and more possible. Their apartment was on the 3rd floor of a building that should have been condemned a decade ago. Water stains on the ceiling, cracks in the walls, radiator that worked when it felt like it. But it was home. Marcus carried Lily to her bed, tucked her in with the stuffed elephant Maria had given her, stood watching her breathe for a long moment. Then he went to the closet. Behind boxes of old clothes and broken appliances, hidden under a loose floorboard, a metal case. Marcus pulled it out, set it on the kitchen table. His father's legacy. 8 leather-bound journals. 40 years of observations. Everything Samuel Johnson had learned about locks, vaults, security systems. And something else. Marcus opened the case. Beneath the journals, a thick envelope, yellow with age. His father's handwriting on the front. For Marcus, when you're ready. He'd found this envelope after Samuel died. Couldn't bring himself to open it. It felt like a goodbye, and he wasn't ready to say goodbye. But tonight was different. Tonight he'd faced down a billionaire with his father's stethoscope and won. Tonight he was ready. He opened the envelope. Inside a letter. 10 pages handwritten. Son, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And if you're reading it now, something has happened that made you need answers. So here's the truth. I never told you. Marcus began to read. His father's story unfolded in cramped handwriting. Samuel Johnson hadn't been just a locksmith. He'd worked for the FBI from 1965 to 1989. Special consultant. Codename, The Listener. They brought me in when regular methods failed. Vault safes sealed rooms. I could hear what others couldn't. It wasn't magic, it was training. Patience. Understanding that every lock wants to be opened. You just have to listen for the invitation. Marcus turned the page. I worked some high-profile cases, bank fraud, corporate espionage, even a couple of classified things I still can't write about. But there's one case that changed everything. The case was in 1987. A tech company, cutting edge for its time, had been accused of stealing government secrets. The FBI needed someone to access a sealed vault containing evidence. I cracked it in 4 hours. Inside, I found proof that the CEO had been selling missile guidance systems to foreign governments. He went to prison for life. But what nobody knew was that he had a daughter, 12 years old at the time. She watched them take her father away in handcuffs. Marcus's blood went cold. Her name was Victoria. The letter continued. Victoria Sterling wasn't always her name. She changed it when she turned 18, reinvented herself, but she never forgot her father, never forgot the man who put him in prison. Samuel had been watching Victoria's career for years, tracking her rise, noting the pattern of stolen work and destroyed careers. She's building an empire on other people's genius, just like her father built his fortune on stolen secrets, and she's protected by the same thing that protected him for so long: money. Enough money buys silence, buys loyalty, buys blindness. The final pages were a warning. Son, if Victoria Sterling ever crosses your path, be careful. She's not just greedy, she's angry. She's been carrying rage for 40 years, and she'll destroy anyone who threatens her. I've watched her do it. I've seen good people disappear into legal hell or worse. She is dangerous, and she has a long memory." Marcus set the letter down. His hands were shaking. His father had put Victoria's father in prison. And now, decades later, Marcus had destroyed Victoria's empire with his father's techniques. Coincidence, or something darker? He thought about Maria, about the accident that killed her, about the files she'd been reviewing for Vanguard. Victoria Sterling had a long memory. What if she remembered Samuel Johnson? What if she'd been waiting for a chance at revenge? What if hiring Marcus as a janitor wasn't random at all? "Daddy!" Marcus spun. Lily stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. "What are you reading?" "Nothing, baby, just some old papers." "Grandpa's papers?" "Yeah." He forced a smile. "Grandpa's papers." Lily walked over, climbed into his lap, picked up one of the journals. "Grandpa taught you to listen," she said. "That's right." "And you taught me." She looked up at him. "I hear things too, Daddy. Things other people don't hear." Marcus held her tighter. "What kind of things?" "The walls talk at night. The pipes sing." She paused. "And sometimes I hear Mommy, in my dreams. She says to be brave." Tears burned Marcus's eyes. "Your Mommy was the bravest person I ever knew. Braver than you. Much braver." He kissed the top of her head. "And you're braver than both of us." "I don't feel brave. I feel tired." Lily yawned. "And hungry." "Then let's fix that." He made her cereal with milk, the expensive kind. She liked the kind he could only afford when overtime hours came through. She ate slowly, watching him read more of the journals. "Daddy, what happened tonight?" "Really?" "I opened a safe." "I know that. But why was the pretty lady so mean to you?" Marcus considered lying, protecting her from the truth. But Lily was 7 years old and fighting cancer. She deserved honesty. "Because she thought I was nobody. Thought I couldn't do anything important because of my job. Because of how I look." "But you did something important." "Yes." "So she was wrong." Very wrong." Lily nodded seriously. "Good. I don't like her." "Neither do I, baby girl." "Is she going to jail?" "Maybe. I hope so." "And are we going to get the money for my medicine?" Marcus hesitated. Maria Chen had promised. Jennifer Huang seemed trustworthy. But promises from powerful people had a way of evaporating. "I don't know yet, but I'm going to fight for it. Fight for you." "You always fight for me." Lily took his hand, the one still crusted with dried blood. "You need to clean this." "I will." "Now, Daddy." He let her lead him to the bathroom, watched in the mirror as she carefully unwrapped the makeshift bandages, washed his wounds with warm water, applied antibiotic cream from the cabinet. Her hands were small but steady, practiced. "Where did you learn to do this?" he asked. "Nurse Kelly at the hospital. She said I might need to help you sometimes, when you forget to help yourself." Marcus felt his heart crack open. This child, this impossible, beautiful, dying child, taking care of him. "I love you, Lily." "I know." She wrapped fresh gauze around his palms. "I love you more." "Not possible." "Definitely possible." She smiled that gap-toothed smile that lit up rooms. "Because I'm little, so my love is concentrated. Yours is spread out because you're big." He laughed, genuine laughter, the first in months. "Where do you get this stuff?" "I make it up." She finished the bandaging. "There, all better." "All better," he agreed. Later, after she'd fallen asleep again, Marcus sat at the kitchen table with his father's journals spread before him. He read until 3 a.m. Then 4. Then 5. Samuel Johnson's entries spanned 4 decades. Cases and techniques. Observations about locks and the people who made them. But scattered throughout were personal notes. Reflections on life. Wisdom accumulated over 60 years. Every lock is a question. Every opening is an answer. The question never changes. Can I trust you? The answer depends on who's asking. And later, my son has the gift. I see it in his hands. The way he listens. He doesn't know it yet, but he will. One day something will happen that forces him to remember what I taught him. And when that day comes, I hope he's ready. Marcus closed the journal. His father had known. Had prepared him for a moment he couldn't have predicted. Had Samuel known about Victoria? About the connection between their families? Or was this all just the universe arranging pieces on a board, moving toward a confrontation that had been building for 40 years? His phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer Huang. Turn on Channel 7, now. Marcus found the remote, clicked the television on. A news anchor was mid-sentence. Breaking developments in what's being called the Vanguard scandal. Victoria Sterling, billionaire CEO of Vanguard Technologies, has been formally arrested on charges of securities fraud and intellectual property theft. But the bigger story may be what investigators found in her private vault. The screen cut to footage from the ballroom. Marcus saw himself kneeling at the base of the chrome vault stethoscope pressed against metal. This man, Marcus Johnson, a janitor at Vanguard, accomplished what 62 engineers could not, cracking the Prometheus vault in under an hour. What he found inside is now the subject of a federal investigation. The anchor continued, but Marcus wasn't listening anymore. His phone was exploding. Texts, calls, numbers he didn't recognize. He turned the phone off. Lily needed sleep. He needed to think. Because Jennifer was right. This fight was just beginning. And somewhere out there, Victoria Sterling was sitting in a cell planning her next move. Women like her didn't give up, didn't accept defeat. They found new angles, new weapons. Marcus looked at his bandaged hands, at his father's journals, at the photograph of Maria on the refrigerator. "I'm not done," he said to the empty room. "Not even close." Outside, the sun was rising over Oakland. A new day, a new chapter, and a war that was far from over. 3 days passed. Marcus didn't sleep more than 2 hours at a time. The phone calls never stopped. Reporters, lawyers, people claiming to be old friends, people he'd never heard of wanting interviews, book deals, movie rights. He ignored all of them, except one. "Mr. Johnson, this is Detective Raymond Price, Chicago PD Cold Case Division. I need to speak with you about your wife's accident." Marcus met him at a diner on the south side. Neutral ground, public place. Detective Price was 62 years old. Black, gray hair cropped short, eyes that had seen too much and forgotten nothing. "I pulled your wife's file after I saw the news," Price said, sliding into the booth across from Marcus. "Maria Johnson, hit and run, June 14th, 2 years ago. You worked the case." "No, it was assigned to Detective Morrison. He retired 6 months later." Price opened a folder. "But I noticed something when I reviewed it." "What?" "Nothing." Price met Marcus's eyes. "Absolutely nothing. No witnesses interviewed after day 1. No forensic follow-up. No camera footage requested from nearby businesses. The case was dead before it started." Marcus's hands tightened around his coffee cup. "Morrison killed the investigation. Morrison was paid to kill it. I can't prove that yet, but I know it." Price slid a photograph across the table. "Recognize this man. A white male, 50s expensive suit, standing next to Victoria Sterling at some gala event." "No." "Derek Walsh, head of security at Vanguard Technologies. Before that, he was Chicago PD, Internal Affairs." Price paused. "He and Morrison were partners for 6 years." The connection clicked in Marcus's mind. "Walsh buried my wife's case. That's my theory, and I think I know why." Price pulled out another document. Maria was doing freelance accounting for Vanguard. She had access to financial records, specifically offshore accounts that weren't disclosed to investors. "Jennifer Huang told me there was evidence of tax fraud in the vault. $47 million worth. But here's what Ms. Huang might not know. Price leaned forward. Maria requested a meeting with the SEC 2 days before she died. She never made it to that meeting. Marcus felt the world tilt sideways. You're saying Victoria had my wife killed. I'm saying your wife found something she wasn't supposed to find, and 48 hours later, she was dead. Draw your own conclusions. Why are you telling me this? Why now? Price was quiet for a moment. My daughter died of leukemia, 8 years old. We couldn't afford the treatments that might have saved her. Marcus looked at the detective, saw the pain carved into every line of his face. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be angry. Price closed the folder. Victoria Sterling has been untouchable for 20 years. You cracked that vault. You exposed her. Now she's vulnerable. And I intend to make sure she pays for every life she's destroyed, including your wife's. How? By building a case so airtight she can't buy her way out. The SEC has the financial evidence. I'm going to find the connection between Walsh Morrison and Maria's death. Price stood. But I need your help. Anything. Maria's personal files, her laptop, anything she kept at home. The official evidence was compromised, but Victoria's people couldn't have known about everything. Marcus nodded slowly. I kept her things, all of them. Couldn't bring myself to throw them away. Then we might have a chance. Price handed him a card. Call me when you're ready, and Marcus, watch your back. Victoria Sterling is in custody, but she's not powerless. Women like her have long arms. Marcus walked home from the diner. 3 miles through Oakland streets he'd known his whole life. Past the corner where he'd had his first kiss. Past the church where he'd married Maria. Past the hospital where Lily had been born. His city, his history, his pain. By the time he reached the apartment, a decision had crystallized in his mind. He wasn't just going to survive this. He was going to finish it. Lily was at the neighbor's apartment. Mrs. Patterson, 73 years old, former schoolteacher, the only person Marcus trusted to watch his daughter. He had 2 hours. Maria's things were in the bedroom closet, 3 boxes he hadn't opened since the funeral. Every time he tried, the grief overwhelmed him. Not today. Today, grief had transformed into something harder, something sharper. He opened the first box. Clothes, her favorite sweater, the dress she wore on their first date. He set these aside gently. Second box, books, photographs, their wedding album, Lily's first drawings. Third box, work materials, laptop, external hard drive, notebooks. Marcus powered on the laptop. Password protected. He tried their anniversary, their daughter's birthday, their address. Nothing. Then he remembered something Maria used to say. The best password is the one nobody thinks you'd use. He typed Janitor King, 1985. The laptop unlocked. Marcus laughed despite himself. Maria had called him that once early in their relationship when he'd helped her fix a broken shelf. You're like a Janitor King. You can fix anything. He'd rolled his eyes. She'd kept the joke alive for years. And apparently, she'd used it to protect her secrets. The desktop was organized meticulously. Folders labeled by client, by date, by project. Maria had been brilliant at systems. Everything in its place. He found the Vanguard folder, opened it. Hundreds of files, spreadsheets, bank statements, internal memos, and a subfolder labeled Evidence. Inside a single document. A letter Maria had been writing, but never sent. To whom it may concern, at the Securities and Exchange Commission. I am a freelance accountant contracted by Vanguard Technologies. In the course of my work, I have discovered significant financial irregularities that I believe constitute securities fraud. Specifically, I have found evidence of 1. Undisclosed offshore accounts totaling approximately $47 million, or 2. Falsified patent filings attributing intellectual property to Victoria Sterling that was actually created by terminated employees. 3. Payments to individuals who appear to be former law enforcement, possibly for services related to evidence suppression. I have attached supporting documentation. I am willing to testify to the accuracy of these findings. Please contact me at your earliest convenience. I fear for my safety and wish to provide this information before—" The letter stopped mid-sentence. Marcus stared at the screen. His wife had known. She'd tried to do the right thing, and they'd killed her for it. His phone buzzed. Jennifer Huang. "Marcus, where are you?" "Home. I found something. Maria's laptop. She has files." "Don't say anything else on this line. I'm coming to you. 20 minutes. She hung up. Marcus continued searching the laptop, found the attachments Maria had mentioned. Bank records with routing numbers, screenshots of internal emails, a timeline of suspicious activities, everything Detective Price needed, everything Victoria Sterling had killed to protect. The door buzzer sounded. Jennifer's voice crackled through the ancient intercom. "It's me. Let me up." She arrived breathless, hair disheveled, nothing like the polished lawyer from the conference room. "We have a problem," she said before Marcus could speak. "Victoria posted bail." "That's not possible. The SEC charges were reduced, temporarily. She has the best lawyers in the country, and she's claiming the vault evidence was obtained illegally, that you tampered with it during your unauthorized access. I was invited, on camera, by her. I know, but her team is arguing that her verbal offer wasn't legally binding, that you exceeded the scope of what was permitted, and that anything you discovered is fruit of the poisonous tree." Marcus felt rage building in his chest. She's going to walk. Not if I can help it. But she's out on $10 million bail, and Marcus— Jennifer's voice dropped. "She's making calls, talking to people. My sources say she's specifically asking about you, about Lily, about where you live." Cold fear replaced the rage. She wouldn't. 3 days ago, she publicly humiliated you and offered you money she never intended to pay. She's facing prison time now. Everything she built is collapsing. Jennifer met his eyes. "What do you think she's capable of?" Marcus looked at Maria's laptop, at the evidence of everything Victoria had done. "I found something. Maria was going to report Victoria to the SEC before she died. She has files, proof." Jennifer's eyes widened. "Show me." For the next hour, they went through Maria's documents together. Jennifer's legal mind cataloged and organized, identifying what was admissible, what needed verification, what could bring Victoria down permanently. "This is it," Jennifer finally said. "This is everything we need. The offshore accounts, the patent fraud, the payments to Walsh and Morrison." She looked at Marcus. "Your wife was a hero." "My wife was murdered. And with this evidence, we can prove it." Jennifer closed the laptop carefully. "I need to get this to the SEC directly, and to Detective Price. If Victoria's team tries to suppress it—" A crash from the hallway, then screaming. Mrs. Patterson's voice. "Help! Someone help!" Marcus was through the door before Jennifer could react. Down the hall. Mrs. Patterson's apartment door hung open, lock shattered. Inside, chaos. Mrs. Patterson on the floor, bleeding from a gash on her forehead. 2 men in black tactical gear, one holding a struggling Lily. "Daddy!" Marcus didn't think, didn't calculate, didn't plan. He charged. The first man swung at him. Marcus ducked, grabbed a lamp from the entry table, swung it hard, connected with the man's temple. He went down. The second man threw Lily aside, reached for something at his belt. A taser. Marcus felt the electricity hit his chest. Every muscle seized. He collapsed, twitching, unable to move. Through blurred vision, he saw the man pick up Lily again. "No," Marcus gasped. "No, please." The man looked down at him. No emotion in his eyes. "Ms. Sterling sends her regards." Then darkness. Marcus woke to sirens and chaos. Paramedics, police. Jennifer kneeling beside him, face pale. "Lily," he croaked. "Where's Lily?" Jennifer's expression broke his heart. "They took her, Marcus. I called the police immediately. They have descriptions. They're looking." But Marcus tried to stand. His muscles screamed in protest, still recovering from the taser. I have to find her. I have to... Marcus! Jennifer gripped his shoulders. Listen to me. Victoria orchestrated this. She has your daughter, and if you go charging after her, you'll get yourself killed, and Lily too. Then what do I do? His voice cracked. What do I do? We use the evidence. We bring her down so hard she has no leverage left. Jennifer helped him to his feet. Detective Price is on his way. The SEC is sending agents. Maria's files change everything. My daughter is out there, alone, scared, with people who... Marcus couldn't finish the sentence. I know. Jennifer's voice softened. I know. But think like she would. Think like Victoria. She took Lily for leverage. That means Lily is valuable to her. She won't hurt her as long as she thinks she can use her. You don't know that. No, I don't, but it's the only hope we have right now. Detective Price arrived 15 minutes later, followed by 3 FBI agents. The case had officially gone federal. We have an Amber Alert out, Price told Marcus. Every cop in the state is looking for that vehicle. We'll find her. When? Soon. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Price turned to Jennifer. The evidence from Maria's laptop, where is it? I copied it to a secure server before the attack. Victoria's people can't touch it now. Good. Because this case just went from fraud to kidnapping. She's done. Marcus sat on his couch, head in his hands. Every minute felt like a year. Every second stretched into eternity. His daughter, his baby girl, in the hands of monsters. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered instantly. Mr. Johnson? Victoria Sterling's voice, calm, controlled, triumphant. Where is my daughter? Safe, for now. A pause. You know what I want. The evidence. All of it. Maria's files, your testimony, everything you found in my vault. You give me that and you get your daughter back. How do I know she's alive? Daddy. Lily's voice, trembling, scared. Lily, baby, are you okay? I'm scared, Daddy. I want to come home. You will, baby. I promise. I'm going to bring you home. Just be brave. Be brave like Mommy. Victoria's voice returned, touching. You have 6 hours. Midnight. I'll send you a location. Come alone. Bring everything. If you hurt her, Mr. Johnson. I'm not a monster. Victoria laughed softly. I'm a businesswoman. Your daughter is simply collateral. Ensure a smooth transaction and she'll be returned unharmed. Complicate matters and well. We both know how easily accidents happen. The line went dead. Marcus looked at Detective Price, at Jennifer, at the FBI agents. I'm going. Marcus, we can track. She'll kill Lily if she sees cops. You know she will. We can wire you. Back up at a distance. She's had 2 years to plan for this moment. She knows every trick you have. Marcus stood. I'm going alone. I'm giving her what she wants. You can't trust her. I don't trust her. I trust me. He looked at his hands, still bandaged from the vault. My father spent 40 years listening to locks. I spent 38 years listening to people. Victoria Sterling thinks she's in control. She's not. She's desperate. And desperate people make mistakes. Jennifer stepped forward. What's your plan? The same thing I've always done. Marcus met her eyes. Listen, wait, and open the lock when it's ready. That's not a plan. That's suicide. Maybe. He picked up his father's stethoscope from the table. But it's all I have. The hours crawled by. Marcus sat in his apartment, alone. The FBI agents had left reluctantly positioned at a distance. Detective Price had given him a tracking device so small it could be hidden under a fingernail. At 11:30 p.m. his phone buzzed. An address. Industrial District. An abandoned factory on the edge of Oakland. He gathered Maria's laptop, the hard drive, his father's journals. Everything Victoria wanted. Then he added one more thing. Samuel Johnson's stethoscope. The factory loomed against the night sky. Dark windows, rusted walls, the smell of oil and decay. Marcus approached alone. On foot, as instructed. A door opened. A flashlight beam hit his face. Mr. Johnson, right on time. Derek Walsh, Victoria's security chief. Taser in one hand, flashlight in the other. Where's my daughter? Inside, with Ms. Sterling. Walsh gestured with the flashlight. Follow me. Slowly. Marcus walked into the darkness. His eyes adjusted gradually. The factory floor stretched out before him, filled with abandoned machinery, shadows within shadows. At the center, a pool of light. Victoria Sterling sat in a chair like a queen on a throne. She wore prison orange, still apparently bail conditions had been strict. But her expression was pure victory. And beside her, bound to a chair, was Lily. Daddy. I'm here, baby. I'm here. Marcus tried to move toward her. Walsh blocked his path. Not yet. Victoria stood, walked toward Marcus slowly. The evidence first. Marcus held out the laptop and hard drive. Let her go. After I verify. Victoria took the materials, handed them to Walsh. Check them. Walsh opened the laptop. Spent several minutes reviewing files. It's all here, he confirmed. Maria's documents, the bank records, everything. And the journals. Victoria looked at the leather-bound books in Marcus's hands. These belong to my father. They have nothing to do with you. Your father put mine in prison. Victoria's voice hardened. Those journals are mine by right. Payment for 40 years of suffering. Marcus looked at the books. Samuel Johnson's life work, his legacy, everything he'd taught Marcus to be. Then he looked at Lily. No contest. He handed over the journals. Victoria smiled. Finally, something approaching sense from the janitor. She nodded to Walsh. Burn it. All of it. Now. Walsh pulled out a lighter. Set the journals in a metal barrel. Poured accelerant. Flames erupted. Marcus watched his father's legacy turn to ash. Now, he said quietly. My daughter. Of course. Victoria walked back to Lily, stood behind her chair. But first a question. Did you really think I didn't know about your tracking device? Marcus went cold. Oh yes. I've been monitoring police frequencies all evening. I know there are agents half a mile away. I know you're wearing a wire. Victoria smiled. And I know that none of it matters. Because in 30 seconds, this building will be filled with chlorine gas and you'll both be dead before anyone can reach you. You'll die too. No, I have a mask, a car waiting, and a plane to a country with no extradition treaty. Victoria checked her watch. 20 seconds. Marcus looked at Lily, at Victoria, at the flames consuming his father's journals, and he smiled. You're wrong about one thing. What's that? The tracking device isn't police issue. He held up his hand, showed her his bandaged palm. It's medical. Lily's oncologist gave it to me, in case of emergency. Victoria's smile faltered. What? It's connected to her insulin pump. If her vitals spike like they would from chlorine gas, it alerts the hospital. Who alerts the police? Who now know exactly where we are? Marcus's voice was calm. You have about 30 seconds before this place is surrounded. Victoria's composure cracked. You're bluffing. Lily's been sick for 18 months. You think I don't have contingencies for emergencies? Marcus took a step forward. Let her go. It's over. Walsh. Get me out of here. Walsh reached for Victoria's arm. I wouldn't. A new voice from the darkness. Detective Price stepped into the light weapon drawn. FBI has the building surrounded. There's nowhere to go. Victoria's face twisted with rage. She grabbed a knife from the table beside her, pressed it to Lily's throat. Stay back. All of you. I'll kill her. Then you die too. Price kept his weapon steady. Your choice. Marcus stepped forward slowly. Hands raised. Victoria, look at me. Stay back. Your father went to prison because he got greedy. He forgot that power has limits. You made the same mistake. Marcus moved closer, one step at a time. My daughter has nothing to do with what happened 40 years ago. She's 7 years old. She has leukemia. She just wants to go home. I don't care. I know you don't. That's the difference between us. Marcus was within arm's reach now. You've spent your whole life taking from people, using them, throwing them away, and in the end, you're alone in an abandoned factory with nothing left. I have your daughter. No. Marcus's voice dropped to a whisper. You have a choice. Let her go, and maybe you live long enough to face trial. Hurt her, and every cop in this building will make sure you don't leave alive. Victoria's hand shook. The knife wavered. You ruined everything. You and your father. You ruined my life. Your father ruined your life. You just followed his example. Marcus held out his hand. Give me my daughter. Please. Silence stretched between them. Then something broke in Victoria's eyes. The knife clattered to the floor. Marcus lunged forward, scooped Lily into his arms, held her so tight he thought his heart might burst. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. I've got you, baby. I've got you. Behind them, FBI agents swarmed in. Victoria was pushed to the ground, handcuffed. She didn't resist. Detective Price appeared beside Marcus. It's over. Marcus looked at his daughter, at the flames dying in the barrel, at Victoria Sterling being dragged away in chains. No, he said quietly. It's just beginning. The ambulance ride felt like a dream. Marcus held Lily's hand while paramedics checked her vitals, asked questions, shined lights in her eyes. She was dehydrated, scared, but alive. Daddy, is the bad lady gone? Yes, baby. She's gone. Forever. Marcus kissed her forehead. Forever. At the hospital, they kept Lily overnight for observation. Marcus refused to leave her room. He sat in a plastic chair beside her bed, watching her sleep, counting every breath like a prayer. Jennifer Huang arrived at 3 a.m. with coffee and news. Victoria's being transferred to federal custody. The kidnapping charge alone carries 20 years. Combined with the fraud charges and what we found in Maria's files, she's never getting out. What about Walsh? Singing like a bird. He's trading information for a reduced sentence. Apparently, Victoria has been running this operation for longer than anyone knew. Walsh gave up names, dates, bank accounts. Jennifer paused. He also confirmed what you suspected about Maria. Marcus's grip tightened on the coffee cup. Tell me. Victoria ordered the hit. She found out Maria was meeting with the SEC. She couldn't risk it. Jennifer's voice was soft. Walsh arranged everything through Morrison, made it look like an accident. They've been covering it up for 2 years. Marcus closed his eyes, felt something crack open in his chest. Not grief, not anymore. Something colder, harder, justice. Morrison. Arrested 2 hours ago. He tried to run, didn't get far. Good. Jennifer sat in the chair beside him. There's more. The SEC finished reviewing the vault contents. They found documentation on 18 engineers whose work Victoria stole. 17 are still alive. They're all being contacted. And Elena Vasquez's family. Her mother Dorothy is flying in tomorrow. The SEC wants to formally recognize Elena's contribution to the Prometheus vault design. Posthumously, but it's something. Marcus nodded slowly. Maria would have wanted that. Maria made it possible. Jennifer touched his arm. Your wife started this, Marcus. You finished it. Together you brought down one of the most corrupt executives in American history. He looked at Lily, still sleeping peacefully. I didn't do it for history. I did it for her. I know. That's what makes it matter. Morning came slowly. Lily woke hungry and irritable, which the nurses said was a good sign. They brought her pancakes with extra syrup, and she ate every bite while Marcus watched with exhausted relief. Daddy, you look terrible. Thanks, baby. Did you sleep at all? A little. Liar. She pointed her fork at him. You have to take care of yourself too. Nurse Kelly said so. Nurse Kelly isn't here. I'm telling her next time we go to chemo. Marcus laughed despite himself. This kid. This impossible, stubborn, beautiful kid. Deal. I'll sleep tonight. Promise? Promise. A knock at the door. Detective Price entered, looking almost as tired as Marcus felt. How's the patient? Better than her father, Lily said seriously. Price smiled. Smart girl. He turned to Marcus. Can we talk outside for a minute? Marcus kissed Lily's forehead. I'll be right back, baby. Bring me juice. Apple or orange? Apple, obviously. In the hallway, Price's smile faded. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Victoria's lawyers. They're already working angles. Claiming the evidence from Maria's laptop was illegally obtained, challenging the chain of custody, arguing that Walsh's testimony is coerced. That's ridiculous. That's legal strategy. They're not trying to win, they're trying to delay, create doubt, find technicalities. Price rubbed his eyes. We have her on kidnapping, and that's solid. But the fraud charges, the murder conspiracy, those could get complicated. Maria's files prove everything. Maria's files are being challenged. Her laptop wasn't obtained through official channels. Defense is arguing it could have been tampered with. Marcus felt the familiar frustration building. So what do? We need corroboration. Independent verification of what Maria found. Someone who can testify to the authenticity of those records from inside Vanguard. Jennifer Huang. She's already committed, but she joined after most of the crimes occurred. We need someone who was there, who saw it happen. Marcus thought for a moment. The engineers, the ones Victoria stole from. Wouldn't they have their own records? Most destroyed everything after the lawsuits. Victoria made sure of that. Part of every settlement was complete destruction of related materials. Price paused. But there might be one exception. Who? Elena Vasquez's mother, Dorothy. She kept everything Elena left behind. Every notebook, every file, every piece of evidence Elena gathered before she died. Price met Marcus's eyes. Elena was building a case against Victoria, a comprehensive one. She died before she could use it. And her mother has it. In storage, 3 years' worth of documentation. If it's what I think it is, it'll prove Maria's files are authentic and blow Victoria's defense apart. Marcus nodded. When does Dorothy arrive? Her flight lands at 2 p.m. I'm picking her up personally. Price handed him a card. Get some rest. Be at this address at 5 p.m. We're going to finish this. The address was a law office downtown. Conference room on the 14th floor overlooking the city Marcus had called home his entire life. Jennifer Huang was there. Detective Price, 2 SEC agents, 3 FBI lawyers, and Dorothy Vasquez. She was 74 years old, small, gray hair pulled back tight, eyes that had seen too much pain and refused to look away from any of it. When Marcus entered, she stood immediately. You're Marcus Johnson. Yes, ma'am. I watched the video. You opening that vault. Her voice trembled slightly. My daughter designed that vault. Her name should have been on it. Her face should have been in the magazines. Instead, she stopped, composed herself. Instead, Victoria Sterling stole everything. My daughter's work, her career, her health, her life. Marcus didn't know what to say. I'm sorry, felt inadequate. I understand, felt presumptuous. So he told her the truth. My wife was killed for finding out about your daughter. Maria was going to expose Victoria. She died before she could. He paused. I'm going to make sure their deaths mean something. Both of them. Dorothy studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded once. Let's get to work. The boxes Dorothy brought filled half the conference table. Notebooks, printed emails, design schematics, financial records. Photographs. 3 years of Elena Vasquez's investigation preserved by a mother who refused to let her daughter's work disappear. Elena knew Victoria was stealing from the beginning, Dorothy explained as they sorted through documents. She started documenting everything in 2017: employee terminations, patent filings. The pattern was clear. Victoria would identify talent, extract their work, then destroy them. Jennifer held up a stack of emails. These are internal communications between Victoria and her legal team. They discuss asset acquisition strategies and liability containment protocols. It's corporate speak for theft and cover-up. Elena highlighted the relevant passages, Dorothy said. She was methodical, careful. She knew she'd need evidence that couldn't be disputed. Marcus found a notebook labeled Prometheus, opened it. Page after page of technical drawings, mathematical calculations. Elena's handwriting was precise, almost architectural. She designed every component, Dorothy said, looking over his shoulder. The quantum display, the mechanical backup, the progressive resistance system. All of it was Elena's work. The K-12 lock, Marcus said quietly. She based it on my father's design. Dorothy looked at him sharply. What? My father was Samuel Johnson. He worked with military locks in the 1950s. The K-12 progressive resistance system, he helped develop it. Marcus flipped to another page. Elena cited his work in her research, Journal of Military Engineering, 1962. Dorothy's eyes widened. Samuel Johnson, the FBI consultant who put Victoria's father in prison. Yes. Marcus met her gaze. Our families have been connected longer than any of us knew. The room went silent. Jennifer spoke first. This makes everything more complicated. Victoria's lawyers will argue bias that you had a personal vendetta. Or it makes it simpler. Price interrupted. It shows a pattern. Victoria targeting people connected to her father's downfall. Maria, Marcus, Elena through her research of Samuel's work. This wasn't random fraud. It was systematic revenge spanning decades. Marcus looked at the documents spread across the table. His father's legacy, Elena's brilliance, Maria's courage, all connected, all pointing to the same truth. There's something else, Dorothy said. She pulled out a sealed envelope yellowed with age. Elena gave this to me 3 days before she died, told me not to open it unless something happened to her. You never opened it. I couldn't. It felt like admitting she wasn't coming back. Dorothy's hands shook as she held the envelope. But she's not coming back. And if what's inside can help, she would want me to use it. She handed the envelope to Marcus. You open it. You've earned that right. Marcus broke the seal carefully. Inside a single flash drive and a handwritten note. Mom, if you're reading this, Victoria won, but only for now. Everything on this drive proves what she did. Bank accounts, emails, recording of her admitting to patent fraud. Its encrypted password is my birthday plus yours. Find someone who can use it. Find someone brave enough to fight. I love you, Elena. The room held its breath. Marcus plugged the drive into Jennifer's laptop. Typed in the password 09115199 and 03241950. The drive unlocked. Hundreds of files. But the one that mattered most was at the top. A video file, dated 1 week before Elena's death. Jennifer clicked play. Victoria Sterling's face filled the screen. She was sitting in her office, clearly unaware she was being recorded. Elena must have hidden a camera somewhere. Ms. Vasquez, I'll be direct with you. Victoria's voice was smooth, confident. Your designs are impressive, perhaps the most sophisticated work I've seen in 20 years, but you need to understand something. Elena's voice off camera. Understand what? This is my company, my name, my legacy. When these designs go public, they'll be credited to Vanguard Technologies and its leadership. That's how this works. You're asking me to give up credit for my own work. I'm not asking. Victoria smiled. I'm telling you how this industry operates. Young engineers contribute. Established leaders take credit. It's the circle of innovation. It's theft. Victoria's expression hardened. Be careful, Elena. Very careful. I've dealt with difficult employees before. They never win. Is that a threat? It's a fact. I have resources you can't imagine. Legal, financial, personal. If you try to fight me, I will destroy you. Your career will be over. Your reputation will be garbage. And no one will believe a word you say. Silence. Then Elena's voice, quiet but steady. I understand completely, Ms. Sterling. Good. I'm glad we could have this conversation. You have a bright future here if you make the right choices. The video ended. The conference room was silent. Dorothy Vasquez was crying, silent tears streaming down her face. She knew, Dorothy whispered. She knew Victoria would come after her, and she recorded it anyway, so that someday someone would know the truth. Jennifer's voice was shaky. This is admissible. Victoria explicitly admits to taking credit for Elena's work and threatens her for objecting. Combined with the other documentation. Victoria's done, Price said flatly. No lawyer in the world can spin this. Marcus looked at the frozen image of Victoria Sterling on the screen. That confident smile. That absolute certainty that she would never be held accountable. My father used to say that locks keep honest people honest. Dishonest people, they just see locks as challenges. He paused. Victoria thought she'd locked away her crimes forever. Vaults within vaults, secrets within secrets. He stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city. But every lock can be opened. Every truth can be found. You just have to know how to listen. The next 48 hours were a blur of legal procedures and media chaos. The video of Victoria threatening Elena went viral within hours of its release to the SEC. News channels played it on loop. Social media exploded. #Justice. For Elena trended worldwide. Victoria's legal team scrambled to respond. They claimed the video was fabricated. Then they claimed it was taken out of context. Then they claimed it was obtained illegally. None of it mattered. The evidence was overwhelming. Maria's files, Elena's documentation, Walsh's testimony, the video confession. On the third day, the SEC announced formal charges: securities fraud, intellectual property theft, conspiracy to commit murder, wire fraud, tax evasion, 47 counts total. If convicted on all charges, Victoria Sterling faced over 200 years in prison. Marcus was in Lily's hospital room when he heard the news. She was scheduled for discharge that afternoon, cleared for outpatient treatment, her oncologist said. The stress of the kidnapping hadn't caused any setbacks. If anything, her latest blood work showed improvement. Small miracles, Dr. Patterson had said with a smile. Lily was watching cartoons when Jennifer called. Turn on the news, Channel 7. Marcus found the remote, changed the channel. Victoria Sterling's face filled the screen. Not the confident, polished executive from the video, this was a woman in an orange jumpsuit being led into a courthouse in handcuffs. Disgraced tech billionaire Victoria Sterling appeared in federal court today to face an expanded list of charges, including conspiracy to commit murder in connection with the deaths of Maria Johnson and Elena Vasquez. Lily looked at the screen. Is that the bad lady? Yes, baby. She looks sad. She's facing consequences. That's what happens when you hurt people. Good. Lily turned back to her cartoons. Can we go home now? Marcus smiled. Yeah, baby, we can go home. But home looked different when they arrived. The apartment building had been visited by news crews. Neighbors had hung signs in their windows. Welcome home, Lily, and Justice for Marcus, and Oakland stands strong. Mrs. Patterson was waiting at their door with a casserole and tears. I'm so sorry. I tried to stop them. I tried. It wasn't your fault. Marcus hugged her gently. You were brave. You called for help. That's all anyone could do. Is Lily okay? Lily's perfect. He looked at his daughter already running to examine the signs in the windows. She's the strongest person I know. Inside the apartment, everything was the same. And everything was different. Maria's photograph on the refrigerator. His father's tools still in boxes. The corner where Lily did her homework. Home. But something was missing now. The weight he'd carried for 2 years, the grief, the unanswered questions, the gnawing sense that justice would never come, it was lighter. Not gone, but lighter. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mr. Johnson, this is Dorothy Vasquez. I wanted to thank you personally for what you've done. My daughter can finally rest. If you ever need anything at all, please call. You gave me closure. I can never repay that. Marcus typed back, your daughter and my wife did the hard work. We just finished what they started. Take care, Mrs. Vasquez. He set the phone down, looked at Lily, who was arranging stuffed animals on her bed with serious concentration. Daddy. Yeah, baby. Are we rich now? Marcus laughed. What? The lady on TV said you're getting $10 million. That's a lot, right? He'd almost forgotten. The promise Victoria made at the gala, pay for Lily's treatment, plus $10 million. Her lawyers were fighting it, of course, claiming it wasn't a binding contract. But the PR pressure was immense. Vanguard's new interim board had already indicated they would honor the commitment, regardless of what Victoria wanted. We might be getting some money, yes. So we can move. Get a bigger apartment. Maybe. Would you like that? Lily thought about it seriously. Can we stay in Oakland? Of course. Why? Because this is home. This is where Mommy lived. Where Grandpa's tools are. Where Mrs. Patterson makes casseroles. She paused. I don't want to forget. Marcus felt his heart crack open again. This child. This impossible perfect child. We won't forget, baby. I promise. No matter where we live, we'll always remember. Good. She went back to arranging her animals. Also, I want a dog. We'll talk about it. That means yes. That means we'll talk about it. Lily grinned that gap-toothed smile that lit up rooms. That definitely means yes. Marcus shook his head, smiling despite himself. Outside, the sun was setting over Oakland, orange and purple streaking across the sky. The same sunset his father had watched from this window 40 years ago. The same sunset Maria had loved. His phone buzzed again. Jennifer Huang. The board voted, unanimously, $10 million to you, plus full coverage of Lily's medical expenses for life. They're also establishing 2 memorial funds, the Maria Johnson Whistleblower Protection Fund and the Elena Vasquez Engineering Scholarship. Marcus closed his eyes. Thank you, Jennifer. Don't thank me. Thank yourself. You earned every penny. She paused. There's one more thing. The board wants to offer you a position. A position? Director of Building Operations. It's a fancy title for facilities management, but it comes with a real salary, benefits, and office. You'd oversee the same building you used to clean. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Tell them thanks, but no. No. I don't want to work for Vanguard, not after everything. He looked at Lily. But I do have an idea. Something I've been thinking about. Tell me. A workshop for kids who can't afford engineering programs, teaching them what my father taught me. Hands-on learning. Real skills. No fancy equipment, just patience and practice. Jennifer was quiet. Then, that's beautiful, Marcus. It probably won't make money. It'll make something more important. She paused. Let me know when you're ready to set it up. I'll help with the nonprofit paperwork. You don't have to. I want to. Elena would have loved this idea. So would Maria. Jennifer's voice softened. Some things are more important than billable hours. Marcus hung up, sat on the couch, watched his daughter play. $10 million. Medical coverage for life. Memorial funds in Maria's and Elena's names. Justice. Not the kind that brought people back. Not the kind that erased pain, but the kind that meant something. The kind that created ripples. The kind that changed futures. Daddy? Yeah, baby. What are you thinking about? Marcus smiled. The future. Is it going to be good? He looked at his daughter, at the sunset, at the photograph of Maria on the refrigerator. Yeah, baby. I think it is. 6 months passed like water through open fingers. The trial of Victoria Sterling became the most watched legal proceeding in American history. Every news channel carried it live. Social media dissected every moment. Legal experts debated strategy on cable shows that ran 24 hours a day. Marcus attended every session. He sat in the third row behind the prosecution table, wearing the same suit he'd worn to Maria's funeral. It was the only suit he owned. Jennifer had offered to buy him something new, but he refused. This suit watched my wife get buried, he told her. It deserves to watch her killer get convicted. Victoria Sterling looked different now. The orange jumpsuit had been replaced by designer clothes her lawyers insisted on maintaining her image. But something fundamental had changed. The confidence was gone. The predatory gleam in her eyes had dulled to something desperate and hollow. She never looked at Marcus, not once in 6 months of testimony, as if ignoring him could erase what he'd done. It couldn't. The prosecution built their case brick by brick: Maria's files, Elena's documentation, Walsh's testimony, the video confession, financial records from 17 countries. Witness after witness, former employees, destroyed engineers, broken lives, all telling the same story. Victoria Sterling was a thief, a fraud, a murderer in everything but direct action. And finally, she was being held accountable. The verdict came on a Thursday afternoon. Marcus was holding Lily's hand when the jury filed back in. She'd been declared cancer-free 2 weeks earlier. The experimental treatment had worked, but he still held on like she might disappear. All rise. The courtroom stood. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have your honor. The foreperson, a black woman in her 50s schoolteacher from Oakland, unfolded the paper with steady hands. On the count of securities fraud, we find the defendant guilty. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. On the count of intellectual property theft, we find the defendant guilty. Victoria's face remained frozen. On the count of conspiracy to commit murder in the death of Maria Johnson, we find the defendant guilty. Marcus felt something release in his chest. 2 years of pressure suddenly gone. On the count of conspiracy to commit murder in the death of Elena Vasquez, we find the defendant guilty. Dorothy Vasquez sobbed openly. Jennifer put an arm around her. The foreperson continued through 47 counts. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Every single charge. When it was over, Victoria Sterling finally looked at Marcus. Their eyes met across the courtroom. He expected to feel triumph, satisfaction, vindication. Instead, he felt something closer to pity. This woman had spent 40 years building an empire of theft and lies. She'd destroyed careers, stolen fortunes, ended lives, and now she would spend whatever remained of her existence in a concrete cell, surrounded by the ruins of everything she'd built. Marcus didn't smile, didn't gloat. He simply nodded once in acknowledgement that it was over and turned away. Victoria Sterling wasn't worth any more of his attention. She never had been. The sentencing hearing came 2 weeks later. Victoria's lawyers made their final arguments. Character witnesses testified to her philanthropy, her mentorship of young women in business, her contributions to technology. The prosecution showed photographs of Maria Johnson's grave, of Elena Vasquez's empty apartment, of 17 engineers whose careers had been destroyed. Judge Morrison, no relation to the corrupt detective, though the coincidence wasn't lost on anyone, listened to everything with the patience of a man who had seen humanity at its worst and still believed in justice. When it was time for victim impact statements, Marcus was first. He walked to the podium, looked at Victoria, looked at the judge, looked at the gallery filled with cameras and reporters and people who'd been following this story for 6 months. Then he spoke. My wife Maria was 34 years old when she died. She was an accountant. She was a mother. She made pancakes every Sunday and sang off-key in the shower and loved our daughter more than anything in this world. His voice cracked. He steadied himself. Maria found evidence of what Victoria Sterling was doing. She tried to do the right thing, and for that, she was murdered, made to look like an accident, erased like she never existed. He paused. My daughter Lily was 5 when her mother died. She doesn't remember much. The sound of Maria's voice, the way she smelled, the songs she sang at bedtime. Those memories are fading. Every day a little more disappears. Tears rolled down his cheeks. He didn't wipe them away. Victoria Sterling stole my wife. She stole my daughter's mother. She stole Maria's future and Elena's brilliance and the careers of dozens of good people who just wanted to do their work and live their lives. He turned to face Victoria directly. You called me trash. You said I didn't know my place. You thought your money and your power made you untouchable. His voice hardened. But here's what you never understood. I'm not trash. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm the son of a man who taught me that truth lives in metal and patience and listening. And I'm the person who brought you down. He leaned forward. You're going to prison. You're going to grow old in a cell thinking about everything you lost. And every day for the rest of your life, you're going to remember that a janitor from Oakland destroyed everything you built. He stepped back from the podium. That's my statement, Your Honor. Thank you. The gallery was silent. Somewhere, someone was crying. Judge Morrison nodded slowly. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Dorothy Vasquez spoke next. Then Jennifer Huang on behalf of Elena's memory. Then 3 other engineers whose lives Victoria had destroyed. Each story was different. Each pain was unique. But they all pointed to the same truth. Victoria Sterling had left a trail of devastation that stretched back decades. Finally, the judge spoke. Victoria Sterling, please rise. She stood. Her lawyers flanked her like bodyguards. This court has heard extensive testimony about your crimes. The jury has found you guilty on all counts. It now falls to me to determine an appropriate sentence. He paused, reviewing his notes. In my 30 years on the bench, I have rarely encountered a defendant who demonstrated such systematic cruelty. You didn't just break laws, you broke people. You took their work, their reputations, their livelihoods. In 2 cases, you took their lives. Victoria's face remained expressionless. The defense has argued for leniency based on your age and your contributions to society. But I find that those contributions were built on stolen foundations. Every success you claimed belonged to someone else. Every accolade was purchased with other people's suffering. Judge Morrison removed his glasses, cleaned them slowly. Victoria Sterling, I sentence you to 147 years in federal prison without the possibility of parole. The courtroom erupted. Victoria swayed slightly. Her lawyers caught her arms. Additionally, the judge continued, raising his voice over the noise, I am ordering the forfeiture of all assets obtained through fraudulent means. These funds will be distributed to your victims and their families with priority given to medical expenses and educational opportunities. He banged his gavel. This court is adjourned. Outside the courthouse, Marcus faced a wall of cameras and microphones. Mr. Johnson, how do you feel about the verdict? Mr. Johnson, what's next for you and Lily? Mr. Johnson, do you have any message for Victoria Sterling? He held up his hand. The question stopped. My wife Maria always said that truth has a way of coming out. It might take time, it might take sacrifice, but eventually the truth finds its way to the surface. He looked at the courthouse behind him. Today, truth won. Not because of me, not because of any one person, but because good people, Elena Vasquez, Maria Johnson, Dorothy Vasquez, Jennifer Huang, Detective Price, refused to give up. They believed that justice was possible even when everything said it wasn't. A reporter shouted, "What's next for you?" Marcus smiled. I'm going to take my daughter home. We're going to eat pizza and watch cartoons and not think about Victoria Sterling for one single minute. And after that, we're going to build something. Something that helps kids who don't have fancy degrees or rich parents. Something that teaches them what my father taught me, that everyone has value. Everyone has potential. And the only thing standing between you and your dreams is the willingness to work. He turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. To everyone watching who's ever been told they're nothing, who's ever been called trash or garbage or worthless, who's ever had their work stolen, or their voice silenced, or their dreams crushed by people with more power. His voice carried across the crowd. Don't give up. Don't stop fighting. The world is full of Victoria Sterling's people who think money makes them gods, but it's also full of people like you, like me, like my father and my wife, and everyone who refuses to accept that the powerful always win. He looked directly into the nearest camera. They don't. Sometimes the janitor beats the billionaire. Sometimes truth beats money. Sometimes the underdog wins. He took Lily's hand. And when they do, everything changes. 1 year later. The Samuel Johnson Workshop occupied the first floor of a renovated building in downtown Oakland. Brick walls, high ceilings, natural light streaming through tall windows. Workbenches lined the main room, each equipped with basic tools, screwdrivers, wrenches, multimeters, soldering irons. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just the essentials. 32 students filled the space, ages 8 to 17, black, white, Latino, Asian, rich kids and poor kids, kids from the suburbs and kids from housing projects, all learning the same lessons. Marcus stood at the front holding up his father's stethoscope. Anyone tell me what this is? A hand shot up. 9-year-old boy named Deshaun. Medical equipment. That's what most people think. But my father used it for something else entirely. Marcus walked between the workbenches. He listened to locks, to safes, to machines. He could hear things other people couldn't. Tiny vibrations, subtle clicks, the sounds that metal makes when it's ready to open. He stopped beside a small training safe. Everyone close your eyes. I'm going to turn this dial. Tell me what you hear. The room went quiet. 32 children listening with every ounce of attention they had. Click, click, click. I heard it. A girl named Amara opened her eyes wide. Like a tiny heartbeat. Exactly. Marcus smiled. That's the tumbler catching. Every number has its own sound. You just have to learn how to listen. He handed the stethoscope to Amara. Your turn. She placed it against the safe with reverence, turned the dial slowly. Her face transformed surprise, then wonder, then determination. I can hear it, Mr. Johnson. I can actually hear it. Of course you can. You're a listener. The workshop had been open for 6 months. Jennifer Huang had handled the nonprofit paperwork. Dorothy Vasquez had contributed Elena's engineering library. Detective Price, now retired, volunteered as a mentor on weekends. Maria Chen, the board member who'd promised help on the night of the gala, had kept her word. Vanguard Technologies, under its new CEO, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, had become the workshop's primary sponsor. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. But the real magic happened in moments like this. Kids who'd never been told they were smart. Kids who'd been written off by schools and society. Kids just like Marcus had been invisible, overlooked, underestimated. Learning that they had power they didn't know about. Mr. Johnson, a teenager named Marcus Jr., named after him by parents who'd watched the trial, raised his hand. Yes. The safe you opened, the Prometheus vault. How long did it really take you? Marcus considered the question. 57 minutes to open it, but 38 years to learn how. I don't understand. Everything I did that night I learned from someone else. My father taught me about locks. My wife taught me about courage. My daughter taught me about never giving up. He paused. Opening a vault isn't just technique. It's everything you've ever learned, everything you've ever lost, everything you've ever loved, all focused on one moment. He walked to the window, looked out at the Oakland streets. Victoria Sterling had 62 engineers and $50 million. I had a stethoscope and a dead man's journals. But I had something she didn't. What? Marcus turned back to face the class. I had nothing left to lose. And when you have nothing left to lose, fear disappears. You stop worrying about what might go wrong. You stop thinking about failure. You just listen and act and trust. The room was silent. Then Amara spoke up. My mama says you're a hero. Marcus shook his head. Heroes have superpowers. I'm just a man who learned to listen. He smiled. But you know what listening is a superpower. Most people don't have it. They're too busy talking, too busy proving how smart they are, too busy trying to impress people who don't matter. He returned to the front of the room. But all of you can learn to listen. And when you do, you'll hear things nobody else can. You'll see solutions nobody else sees. You'll open doors nobody else can open. He picked up his father's stethoscope. This was my father's. He gave it to me when I was 8 years old. He said, son, this tool will teach you everything you need to know about life. If you learn to listen to steel, you'll learn to listen to people. And if you learn to listen to people, you'll learn to listen to yourself. Marcus looked at the stethoscope, worn rubber, tarnished metal, 40 years of use. He was right. After class, Marcus walked home through familiar streets, the same route he'd walked 1,000 times, past the corner store where he used to buy Maria flowers, past the park where Lily took her first steps, past the church where his father was eulogized. Home. The apartment was different now. They'd moved after the settlement, not far, just a few blocks. A larger place with a room for Lily and a room for Marcus and a kitchen big enough to actually cook in. But they'd brought everything that mattered. Maria's photographs, Samuel's tools, the purple beanie Lily still wore sometimes, even though she didn't need it anymore. Daddy. Lily launched herself at him the moment he walked through the door. 9 years old now, hair grown back thick and curly, cancer-free for 14 months. Hey, baby girl. Guess what? What? I got an A on my science project. The one about sound waves. Yes. She bounced with excitement. Mrs. Patterson said it was the best in the class. She said I explained resonance better than the textbook. Marcus laughed. That's my girl. She asked if you could come talk to our class. About the vault. About Grandpa. About listening. I'd like that. They had dinner together. Spaghetti with garlic bread, Lily's favorite. She talked about school, about friends, about a boy named Trevor who was definitely not her boyfriend. Daddy, stop making that face. Marcus listened. Really listened. The way his father had taught him. After dinner, Lily did homework while Marcus sat at the kitchen table with his father's journals. He still read them sometimes. Found new insights in familiar passages. Heard his father's voice in the careful handwriting. Daddy. Yeah, baby. Do you think Mommy knows about everything that happened? Marcus set down the journal. I think she knows. How? He considered the question carefully. When someone loves you, they leave part of themselves with you. It lives in your heart, in your memories, in the way you see the world. He paused. Your mama's been with us this whole time. Watching, cheering, proud. Lily was quiet for a moment. I talk to her sometimes, before bed, tell her about my day. That's good, baby. That's exactly right. Do you talk to her? Marcus nodded. Every day. Every single day. Lily smiled. That gap-toothed smile that had carried him through the darkest moments. I'm glad, she said. I don't want her to be lonely. Marcus felt tears threatening, blinked them back. She's not lonely, baby. She has us. She'll always have us. Later that night, after Lily was asleep, Marcus stood at the window. The city spread out before him. Lights glittering. Lives unfolding. A million stories he would never know. He thought about Victoria Sterling sitting in her cell. Thought about Elena Vasquez gone too soon. Thought about Maria who had started everything by simply doing the right thing. He thought about his father, about the lessons passed down through generations, about the stethoscope that had changed his life, and he thought about the future. 32 students in his workshop learning to listen. Hundreds more on the waiting list. Invitations to speak at schools, at conferences, at events across the country. A story that had started with humiliation had become something else entirely. Hope. His phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer Huang. Time magazine wants to do a profile. Cover story. The janitor who brought down a billionaire. Be interested, Marcus typed back. Only if they include the workshop. The story isn't about me, it's about what comes next. Jennifer's response came quickly. Already told them. They want to feature 5 of your students, the future of engineering. Marcus smiled. 5 kids from Oakland, on the cover of Time magazine, learning skills that would change their lives. That was legacy. That was victory. That was the only revenge that mattered. He put down the phone, looked at Maria's photograph on the wall. "We did it," he whispered. "We did it, baby." The photograph didn't answer. It never did. But sometimes late at night when the apartment was quiet and the world was still, Marcus could swear he heard her voice. "Keep going," she said. "Keep fighting. Keep listening." And that's exactly what he did. Because Marcus Johnson understood something that Victoria Sterling never would. Power wasn't about money or status or control. Power was about truth, about courage, about standing up when everyone told you to sit down. Power was about listening when everyone else was talking. And sometimes, just sometimes, the quiet ones changed the world. The vault stood open. The truth was free. And the janitor from Oakland had won.